Okay, there's one or two of the forum that the members that can't get on. Some folks you'll recognize as previous students.
Others will be in their pandemic costumes.
I'm hoping people will put their screens, get their audio working. Their video working. So make sure I got everybody in. Okay. We're almost all here. So Tim is, I don't know if you, Jack, can you see Tim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Bonnie.
So
welcome.
Tim's guys have been using the money bag for what, how many years off and on?
10 plus, I think. Yeah, off and on. It works. They like it.
For sure. It for sure works.
So it was the conversation with Tim that kind of spurred this.
Gotcha.
So, hi, Norm. We got Norm and Zach.
Hi, Bonnie. How you doing? Thanks for having me out.
Pleasure.
Norm looks like he's in the car, so I guess it's the theater.
It is a drive-in theater. Behind me is my son's soccer game that I'm watching as well. Or in front of me. So, dual duty today.
There's multitasking.
Yes.
I'm not sure where Reese is coming from.
I'm happy kids are out playing sports again.
You could have stopped it out.
Yes. Yes.
Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Jack. Bonnie. Hello, Jack. Hello, Tim.
Hi.
Tim.
Hi, Gary.
Hope your vacay was good, Tim.
It was.
It looks like it was.
Yeah, back in action now.
Yeah.
Where do you go when you go on vacation when you're going to close down like we are these days?
Well, my son usually attends a summer camp in Maine, and it was a camp that I went to and my father went to, and camp shut down. So camp decided they were going to open some staff cabins to families and alumni to come spend a week at camp and just be there with, not very many people and have the entire camp to ourselves.
Wow.
So it was pretty nice.
Cool. And you got out of there before the hurricane.
Yes, the camp actually got some pretty good damage from that storm. So we've been home for a little over a week. So
Gotcha. Okay.
but yeah.
I think we got one more. Yeah, one more we're waiting for that I don't recognize a phone number for. So give them like 1 or 2 more minutes and then get rolling.
You're the boss.
Hey, Bonnie, this is Dave. I hope it's not with Legacy. I hope you're not waiting on my number, the 7171.
No, I figured that one out.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And if anybody has the ability to get that isn't on the video, the visual, can you switch over so we can all see everybody? If you have the ability. I know some of you are on devices that aren't working in that light, but Okay, so Matt,
Menu's going on here.
Matt's not here, right? No, Brad's here.
Brad's here, yeah.
You've got a couple of past students, Jack. You got a few, well, let's see.
Figured that.
You got about 7. You got about 7. And I'm not sure why I'm recording my sound off. So how about if we start?
Sounds good. Sounds good. There's an echo in here. Are you getting that?
What's that?
Are you getting an echo? It's gone. Okay, we're good.
I think it's coming from the canyon that Bonnie has behind her.
Good one, Gary. Okay, Bonnie, do you want to say some opening words or do you want me to just go at it?
Let's just go at it.
Perfect. So it would be helpful. We put together a single sheet PDF type of thing that went out to enable people to take notes. And in preparation for today, I was beyond the questions that Bonnie submitted to me. I was like noodling on, all right, so I've done a lot of virtual webinars in the last 4 months. And it started just a couple weeks right after the lockdown and the pandemic hit. And so I looked at these various outlines, and I do this each time, and I go, okay, so what needs to be changed here? And here we are 5 months later, and I pretty much said, well, there's not much to be changed here. It's still relatable. It still works. So other than your questions, I'm going to go through something that that has stood the test of time since March. And so here we go. So the pandemic 2020, the Stockdale paradox. For those of you that remember Jim Collins' work, he talked about Admiral Stockdale, Vietnam, POW camp. And after spending years in the POW camp, he was interviewed as to how did he survive such an ordeal. And he said it was a combination of the reality of the situation every day, just getting comfortable with this place sucks and I'm not in a good place. And that is real, and I can't change that. At the same time, he coupled it with, but it's not going to be forever, and I am going to embrace every day with some sense of optimism. And so I think that's really how we have to approach this. It's very easy to go down the rabbit hole in terms of negativity with your business, with your personal lives, with your family. There's so much noise that you could go literally down the hole and never resurface. But if you embrace every day with an attitude that says, make some things happen positively and recognize that this situation sucks, but it will get behind us eventually. And so what we have to do is we have to play for the interim. How do we make it through the storm? So hopefully over the next hour, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to make it through this storm. The second item is plan for longer, not shorter. When the pandemic really got underway in March and the lockdown was taking place, there was an awful lot of chatter from people about if I can make it through the next 30 days, if we can make it to phase 1, if we can make it to the end of the month, if we can make it, I hear that the government's going to approve the PPP, and so I'll be in good shape next week. And then by the time that we run out of the money from that, this thing should be behind us. I am opposed to all of that thinking. I say, just as I said when I had my own businesses years ago, and that was, I'm going to play for worst case. I'm going to try to figure out, how do I make it through this place if this thing goes on for a year? How about 4 years? And then find a way, a construct, find a way to build your business in a survival state such that you can make it through this interim period. And that's what I call it, an interim period of the pandemic. And all around me, I see evidence of people in business, business owners and leaders that are operating very differently from that. Let me show you a couple examples that I'd like to give. I was scheduled to run the London Marathon in April. And in fact, this year I was supposed to run 5 marathons, which would have taken me to 100, which was a bucket list item of mine. And my 100th marathon was going to be in Athens, Greece, where it all started. The London Marathon is known as one of the big 6. It's very difficult to get in. And I got in this year. And so I was scheduled to go and run the Prague Marathon the week before. And then the week after, I was going to run the London Marathon. And my love of my life, Karen, and I were going to take 3 weeks and go to Prague and Paris and London and so forth. Well, that blew up with the pandemic. And the race officials basically said, we're postponing the race until October. And months went on. And about 30 days ago, the London Marathon sent all of the registered runners an email that said, within the next 2 weeks, you need to make a decision. Are you going to run in October, or do you want to pass your registration on till 2021? And all I could do was sit here and laugh. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? This is a race with 50,000 sweaty runners for 42K, 26.2 miles through the streets of London, with 100,000 volunteers with Gatorade and goo, and 1 million people on the sidelines. And the race officials a month ago are saying, do you want to continue to run in October? That race is not going to be run. And by and large, the London Marathon is a business. It's a big business. It's a lot of work to put on a marathon with over 50,000 people through one of the major cities of the world. But they're not dealing, the race official not dealing in the real world. I was also scheduled to run the New York City Marathon, and the New York City Marathon just got canceled 30 days ago. They were still playing it as if they're going to go on and do this. Now, the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is run in April. Well, they made the call early on and said, we're going to move it till later in the fall. Well, they finally have canceled it. Now, the Boston Marathon, this is insightful. You can really learn from this. The Boston Marathon is a qualifier race. You have to qualify to get into Boston Marathon. It's the elite runners of the world. And there are people that run their entire lives and never get to qualify and never get to run in the Boston Marathon. You have to run a marathon the year before the Boston Marathon in a certain time to get your ticket punched to go in the race. So they finally canceled the Boston Marathon for this year. But they also said you can run it virtually in your neighborhood and take a picture of your watch, and we'll send you the bib and the medal. Now, what is that, right? So I've got a friend that qualified for Boston, and he says, I'm not running around the block 26 times and getting a Boston Marathon. This is not what it's about. And so I'd like to transfer my qualification to 2021. And they said, we're not going to do that. Now just pause here. They're not going to approve anyone who qualified in 20 to race in the 21 Boston Marathon. And you have to run a marathon the year before in a qualifying time. And this is the year before, and no marathons exist. If you peel it back, what the Boston Marathon said without saying it is the Boston Marathon's not going to be run next year. That's what they've said.
Mhm.
But they don't want to announce it to the public, and there's not a lot of people that are going to go through this analysis. Now, we're all familiar with TED, the 15-minute video type things, right? Well, there's TEDx, but the original TED is in the spring, and it's out there in Silicon Valley. About 2 months ago, TED announced that the 2021 TED conference will be canceled and held in 22. That's somebody that's getting a grip on themselves. The Olympics were canceled for the year early in March to say not going to happen and pushed to next year. And now there's questions about whether they're actually going to be held next year as well. And so all I say is this. It would be, look, I as much as anybody that's on this broadcast right now, I want this thing over like months ago. I have been in my home since March, pretty much in lockdown. I take great pride in getting in front of my audiences saying I only do 3 things. I speak, I travel to where I speak, and I have fun. All 3 are in the shit can. I'm not doing anything that I like to do. I want this thing over more than anybody else maybe, but I'm a realist. And let me tell you what my reality is. I don't think that I'm in front of an audience for all of the rest of this year. And in all likelihood, I don't think in 2021, I'm in front of an audience as well. Until a vaccine is widely available and we see the numbers really drop, I think that that we're stuck with a really, really difficult world to do business in. And so if I'm wrong, perfect. I get to go back out and do my thing. But I'd rather run my business on the basis of this thing's going to suck for a long time, and I'm going to figure out how to make it through it, and then I'll be ready for the rebound. And by the way, I'm a big believer in the rebound, and I think that it is filled with riches. So it's all about how do I make it through this interim period. Now, there are 5 actions that I've listed on that sheet that I sent out. And these are things that I believe that we should really take to heart today in our current environment. The first one is taking care of ourselves, our health, physically, mentally. You know, I'm a big health nut to begin with. I've been that way my whole life. But I've run into business leaders and business owners my whole life that said, you know, I know how important it is, but I'm really busy and I can't find the time to exercise. Well, that is bullshit now. I mean, if you ever had time, now is the time. And so, and I have clients that are going, yeah, but the gyms are closed. Screw the gyms are closed. Just go outside and take a hike or go run or do something. And so all I know is stress goes way down when your exercise goes up. And not only is that important for ourselves as leaders to be strong and to be able to mentally and physically deal with the issues that we're dealing with, but I think it's important as leaders to make sure that all of our colleagues are taking care of themselves physically as well. If they're working out of their homes, we ought to be having that as a regular ongoing topic for their own safety and for the health of our companies. And the last item that I would mention on health and fitness is your family. And so making sure that people are doing the right things. You know, I'm watching, Bonnie knows I'm big on social media, and I'm watching people talking about, you know, I had somebody the other day that just said, you know, COVID-20. And I'm like, COVID-20? What is COVID-20? And he said, it's the 20 pounds I put on since COVID-19 got started. Like, what the hell, brother? You know, and I hear about people reaching out on Facebook and saying, does anybody have anything to recommend on Netflix? I've run the table on everything. I've seen it all. I've seen all of that. There was a run on toilet tissue and the liquor stores. And it still blows my mind that the liquor stores are an essential service. During a pandemic, we got to go out and get drunk every night. What else can we do? So all of that is just nonsense. I am prioritizing more than ever my physical fitness so that I'm strong for my market, strong for myself, strong for my family, and strong for the opportunities that present themselves. So high up on the list, without excuses, is health and fitness. The second item is controllables. And if you've been to my sessions before, as a speaker, I have favorite sayings. One of them is this: focus precedes success. And so what should you be focused on? And what I like to call our high payoff activities are, what are the controllables? Forget about the uncontrollables. What are the controllables that we have? You know, if you want to sit down and listen to that TV giving you quote unquote news of all the negativity all day long, go ahead, but it's not going to help you in your business. What I would rather, the governor of California at noon every day comes on and gives us all the stats about how many people died from the disease, from the virus yesterday, and how many were tested positive, and every freaking day, and all of that negativity. I don't care. It's not that I don't care about the people, 150,000 plus people dying. It's not that I don't care about them. It's I don't care about what they're all doing about this thing, because I ain't doing anything. I don't have any background. I can't help in that regard. So what I can do is I can narrow my focus and stay really centered on what are the things that I have control over. Let me show you. This is old school Jack, but this is dated March the 30th. So that's pretty early in the process. I sat down and I made a list of every person that I thought that could use a phone call from me of an encouraging nature. 1,000 people I have been calling since March the 30th. And let me tell you how I called them, because it's not business solicitation. I'm not trying to like say, hey, could you hire me? You know, I'm starving over here. Nobody's hiring me. You know, none of that shit. It's, hey, you know what? This thing sucks. I used to travel 200 to 300,000 air miles a year. I visited 30 some countries last year with my speaking business, and I speak to large groups of people that are pushed together side by side. Complete violation of everything that we're about today. And so if you want to know how's my business doing, it sucks. And then I say, and how about yours? You see, what I open up my conversation with is I let them know about my pain. Because when I let people know about the pains I'm in, then when I ask them about themselves, they'll be more open to letting me know the pains they're in. And what I'm looking for is, can I find a way to help them in some way? It doesn't matter what, but is there some way that I can help them in doing that type of thing? And the number of emails, the number of snail mail notes that I've gotten back in the last 3 months from people saying, I don't know how you find the time, Jack, and I don't know how you picked up the phone and called me, but the day you called me was the absolute day that I needed to hear from somebody like you. You recentered me, you refocused me, and I just love you for it. And you know what? If I do that with 1,000 people over a 4-month period of time, that's something I have control over. That's my contribution. I don't have a test tube. I wouldn't know what to do with a test tube, but I can do those types of things. And I think people need a pick-me-up. And part of that pick-me-up is, hey, I'm in the shit along with you, right? So that's a controllable. On my goals was to write a new book in 2021. Well, if you're going to make me sit in this room for months on end, I might as well write the book now. The book is written, and the book is different than any book I've ever written. It's my 10th book, and my publisher has gone through it the first time and said, it very well may be the most impactful book that you've ever written. It's nothing to do with sales, and the working title is Life by Design. And it's all about how you put your goals together and go out and suck the marrow out of life. And so that was a controllable. I could sit here at my desk, I could sit here with a keyboard, and I could knock this book out. And I will also tell you, it is a semi-autobiography, and I talk about my 95 marathons, and I talk about my top 100 golf courses that I've played, and the presidential libraries that I visited, and all of these journeys that are on my bucket list. I identified the top 30 bucket list items that I went and did. And as I sat here typing away, it was like every day it made me feel good. Instead of being like down, I was up, like, holy crap, I've led an absolutely magical life. And I'm going to instruct people on how they can do the same. I'm tremendously excited about that. So a controllable for me was the phone list. A controllable for me was write my book. A controllable for me was develop an exercise program after having not one, but two major surgeries. On December 20th, I had a surgery to reconnect a severed quad tendon, and it benched me for a good 4 or 5 months with 3 sessions a week of PT professionally, and PT every day, twice a day. And then on April 24th, they cut my head open, what we found was they had to remove the size of the palm of my hand, an inch thick. I had stage 3 malignant melanoma that we found. And the good news is that they were able to check and see if it had gone anywhere, and it didn't go anywhere, and they got it all out. So I didn't have radiation, I didn't have chemo, and I'm good to go. And they had a plastic surgeon that was able to stretch my skin in a maneuver and then bolt it together with some staples so my hair would all grow back. And they didn't have to do kind of a skin placement or something to connect it all. And Karen, my significant other, says that she's pissed off that I got a free facelift in the process. So, I could be down about all of that stuff, but I'm ahead of where I was last year with my running, with my biking, with my swimming, with my sit-ups. And I'm just killing it because I can go do all these things. I also have a controllable where I used to hold off doing CEO coaching because the travel was such that I couldn't do much of that. I've opened up 5 seats, and I do that over the phone. And so I've taken on new clients. That was a controllable that replaced some of my speaking business. I've got a sales manager forum that I hold regularly. We do it in person. That blew up. So we do it by Zoom, and we meet monthly as opposed to every quarter. And I'm doing virtual webinars. And before we got on the broadcast today, I mentioned to Bonnie, I'm in the process of redoing my entire office into a professional studio. And actually, this is going to transition me, particularly on my live workshops where people buy a seat. I'm going to do them from home for the rest of the time and not put myself on the road for that. I'll still do live gigs when the world goes back, but not on the workshop type of business. So all of those add up to Jack's really busy, and by 9 o'clock at night, I'm exhausted. I'm wiped out, and I can't wait to hit 5 o'clock in the morning and get up and do it again. And so, what are the controllables in your life? What are the controllables in your business? And are you operating it such that you're knocking the things off the list? Which gets us down to item C, which is a daily plan. At 13 years old, I took 4 areas of my life: financial, professional, education, and family, and put a target, a vision of where I wanted to be in each one of those 4 sectors by the age of 30. 13, I've got a vision of where I'm going to be at 30 years old in 4 areas of my life. I'm a long-term planner, and I have been a long-term planner my whole life. And in fact, for those of you that have seen me before in my sessions, you know, I hold up my goals for the year. They're printed on my website. This is everything that I wanted to do in 2020. It was all done by January 1st. By the way, this is completely a piece of garbage right now. There's nothing much going on here because of the pandemic. And so what I've said is this, man, even a month out planning is difficult. People keep changing the rules. In New York, they just implemented that if you're coming from another state, they want you in quarantine, and they're gonna pull you over and put you in jail and fine you and all this crazy stuff. And that's a rule yesterday. You got the governor of New York the day before saying, "Come to New York, everybody. We need your money, and it's a great place to visit." What the hell? And so what I know is this. I know that I can play with a written plan for the day. Now, I say, figure out what your day is going to look like the night before. The science has been done, and it says that if you build your plan for your next day activities within 30 minutes of going to bed, your subconscious works on optimal execution of the plan. And what I like to say is, you know, I mean, here's my log, and you know, I can pick any month and share, you know, all of the things that are getting done month by month, day by day. And I've got my list of everything that needs to get done today. It was all built last night. Now, when I get up in the morning, I'm thinking that whoever's competing with me gets up groggy, gets up negatively, lost their spirit, and shuffles their way down to the kitchen to get a cup of coffee or two. I'm bouncing out of bed. I got my list. I'm hitting the trails. I'm doing my exercise. I can't wait to get my exercise over so I can start knocking the things off my list. Every time, and I love it in writing. Every time I knock something off, I scratch it off. I do things during the day that weren't on my list. I end up writing them on the list and scratching them off because it's such an endorphin high. And so it gives me momentum. And so I love the daily plan. Now, let me also give you this piece. You've got a 8 o'clock in the morning doctor appointment. You show up at 7:45. That's my MO. At 8:30, you're still sitting in the lobby. That pisses me off. But at the same time that it pisses me off, I applaud the doctor because the doctor is squeezing maximum execution of his hourly rate. He is just optimizing that baby. He's got 3 patients in 3 rooms with an assistant or 2, taking your blood pressure and all of that type of thing. And then he pops his head in, does his little song and dance, and moves on to another character. And he's backed up and backed up and backed up. But at the end of the day, that guy optimized his hourly rate. And so when I build my daily plan is by the minute, by the hour, and I'm just executing it as if, man, this is real money. I need to get all this stuff done. And so operate like a doctor, put your plan together the night before, schedule it with the calendar every hour, every half hour, every 15 minutes, what it is you're going to do. And I will tell you, you will get momentum as the day goes on. Selling as a resource and a listener. It would be nice if I could tell you how to sell in a pandemic that's different than the way that I've taught people how to sell in the last 25 years. Unfortunately, I can't, because the reality is what I've been teaching people to sell over 2 decades now is exactly, if not even more relevant during the pandemic. And that is this: ask questions and listen. People do not want to be sold. So what we have to do is when I'm making these calls, I'm looking for how can I help them with their needs? How can I help them with their opportunities? How can I help them with their problems? I quite frankly don't care if it involves me. I'm going to be the center of the universe and hook people up with whoever, whatever I can to help them with whatever it is that their situation is. One of the problems that I've seen over the years is we teach salespeople all of the innards of our products and our services. We give them product training, and we give them weeks of product training, and then we cut them loose and send them out in the field, and they feel compelled to puke all over their prospects everything they learn. That's not what we're looking for as the customer. And so what I can tell you is that type of selling is selling on a base of logic. The overwhelming majority of sales are based on emotion. And so here is the key during the pandemic. Be in control and be asking questions, identifying where are the pain points with this individual, where are the things that will give them pleasure in their business, in their personal life, in any way that I can manifest a solution. And again, I'm telling you right now that in the last 4 months, I would say more than 50% of my questioning of people and finding where their pains and pleasure is, I'm sending it to somewhere else. I'm making so many introductions by way of email and by way of phone calls that it's overwhelming. And, you know, it's just people are coming back to me and saying, man, that was unbelievable. I really appreciate that. Now, they don't have an opportunity to hire me to speak right now, but I'm playing for the rebound. I'm playing for 2022, and I'll get it there. But, you know, what's interesting is I'm getting hooked up with all kinds of things because of it. Now, I have been doing sort of this presentation for the last 4 months. I've done it to the general public in terms of business owners, but I've also done it specifically with clients who have used me live. And what we've done is we've done every 2 weeks, we get all the sales guys on a Zoom, and I deliver an hour and a half with them. And this is the theme that I've been giving them. Well, what we're hearing now, 60 days later, is, hey, Jack, that's my base of success. I don't think when the pandemic's over, I'm going to change. I'm going to keep selling this way. People want to hear from me. They're taking my calls. They're looking towards me and saying, this guy gives a shit. He really cares. She really cares. And so that's really the message that we're looking for. And so quit selling, be a resource, identify pain, identify pleasure, and really dig hard to listen. That's the goal on the call, not to pitch, not to sell, it's to listen. It's not about your business. It's all about them. When we care more about them than us, then we've crossed over the bridge to success. Now, item E on the 5 actions is to be empathic. This world that we live in right now is full of stress. It's coming at us in every way. And what I'm trying to do with people is to join hands with them and recognize. I don't try to beat them up and say, well, that's not real. It's real. It's real. I want to align with them and say, man, if I could give you a skin-to-skin hug, just feel me, I'm all over you. And use me, call me. If you're down for any reason, just reach out. I'll be there for you. I want to be empathic to the situation. At the same time that I'm empathic to their situation, I'm looking for windows that I can shine some positive light on. And so I will talk about some of the things that are producing success for me as a result of inside this pandemic, my business is changing. I'll paint the picture. I'll paint the picture of positivity for them when the rebound is over, and now we're on to the happy times are here again type of thing, and that's coming. There isn't any question about that. I'm older than most everybody on the call, if not everybody on the call. I've seen some wild, crazy shit in my days as a business owner. I can tell you that I remember being on the street as a salesperson, door to door, doing mortgage loans for people buying homes when a 30-year fixed rate was 17.5%. I mean, today, we're banging around 3%, 17.5%. Now, the market of my competitors vacated the space. Basically, the people that I was competing with said, I'm going to go find a new industry to go play in because no one will do a loan at 17.5%. And I sat down and I said, well, wait a second. People need to live somewhere. They need to buy a house and they don't have the cash. So at any rate, they're going to buy. And if I have less competitors, that means more for me. Some of my best years in mortgage origination in my lifetime were during 17.5%. Now, interest rates peaked at that, and then they started coming down. At 12% for a 30-year fixed rate, it was like having a ticker tape parade. Like, does life get any better than this? Rates are down to 12% on a 30-year fixed. Today, the salespeople that are in the field, if the 3% 30-year fixed went to 6%, they'd be looking for tall buildings to jump off of. No one will borrow. It's a head case. It's a mental state. And so what we have to do is we have to grasp our mental state and realize, hey, as ugly as that was, look at where we're at today. I had a company in 1998 that was recognized as Inc. number 10 on the Inc. 500 with 10,100% growth and Entrepreneur of the Year honors from Ernst & Young. When I'm on stage, you're going to hear me brag about that. What you don't hear me say is that in the same year, because of a confluence of things that took place in the marketplace, my 275 employees, I stood up in front of one Friday and let 240 go in a single day. I went from a company that was making $1 million a month to losing $1 million a month, and it all happened within a 45-day period. And so we had to rebuild the company and resurrect it. I've been through AIDS, and I've had friends die of AIDS, and I thought that everybody was going to die of AIDS. Well, you know what? Magic Johnson makes the news, and he says, hey, I got AIDS, and I remember that so vividly. And today, this guy that's known as Mr. Basketball, I think he's going to be known more as a successful entrepreneur than anything else. And so all I can tell you is we've gone through so many different challenges. 2008 and the whole financial system has fallen apart. This too will pass. This too will pass. And I'm looking at my clients that are now working out of their homes. My partner, Karen, owns and runs a $100 million company. And for the majority of the time, she has been forced, along with everybody else in the company, to work out of their homes. And what she's realized is I get more done at home than I do at the office. And it's a 45-minute drive each way to the office. And so I'm going to work from home even after this is all over 3 to 4 days a week because this just makes sense. Well, guess what? The employees are saying the same thing. Hey, I'm pretty effective working from home. And so I can avoid the cost of the commute, the time of the commute, all of those types of things. And maybe I'll go into the office 1 day a week. Well, all of a sudden, I have clients now that are saying instead of having 5 floors on Century Boulevard at a very pricey amount, I can be downsized, get 1/5 the space, and have people come in 1 day a week and use a utilitarian desk and have 5 people share the desk because they're only there once a week. And so it's a revolving desk, if you will. And the cost of all that goes down. Well, let me translate that to you. I tell you that long story because this is the story that I'm telling some of the people that need an uplift. So I say my speaking business is in the crapper in 2020, probably in the crapper 2021. But let's say that 2022 is when things are better and we're able to kind of lift a lot of the things that we're living in. Well, if everybody's workforce is distributed, and I'm a big believer in culture, and we're all working out of their homes, the clients that used to hire me one time a year when they would bring all their employees together for an annual get-together, now they're going to be bringing everybody together 4, 6, 8 times a year into gatherings so that they can get their culture revigorated. And you know what? That means that they're going to probably look at guys like me 2, 3, 4 times a year as opposed to 1 time of the year, and I'm going to have a windfall of business opportunity. All I need to do is figure out my way through the interim, through this period of time. And so that story will ignite with some of the people that I'm talking with, that will ignite positivity for them. And that's really part of me being empathic and showing empathy from the marketplace. Now, you guys threw some questions at me, and I'm going to give you the question, and I'm going to give you my take on the answer, and then I'll put a close to my remarks. And I don't need to go anywhere. If anybody wants to ask me questions or push something around, I'm here. So the first question that I got was, what are the top priorities to create a dynamic sales culture in your company that will transcend past this point in time? What will work now and be relevant in the future? Now, you may not appreciate the answer I'm going to give because it may sound a bit stale, but I still believe that it's the right answer. I say there's 4 legs to a strong culture. I said it before the pandemic. I say it in the pandemic and after the pandemic. Those 4 legs are recognition systems. And so what are you doing with people that you don't see as frequently that are concerned about their livelihood, the viability of your company, the viability of their personal finances? What are you doing in terms of performance recognition of your people when we're not seeing them as frequently as we used to? And so, a little early right now, but I would start to think about what systems of recognition when we are past the pandemic, we've got a vaccine available, and we return to a life that's a little bit more familiar to us. What will be recognition systems then as well? But I wouldn't be I don't have the sense of urgency on that as much as urgency right now. The second leg is communication systems. If there's ever a time to communicate with your people, now is the time to be communicating, and you gotta shoot them straight. You gotta shoot them straight. And so, you know, we're all on the call. We probably have heard of the daily huddle. I think that it's a twice-a-day huddle. I think that there's a check-in in the morning and there's a check-in in the afternoon. We need to stay close to people. We also have to be very observant and attentive to people, keeping our ear out there for the people that are going personally, one-on-one, sideways, and making individual outreaches and calls to those individuals that we perceive need a little bit more help because their anxiety is higher than some of the other people and they're not as able to deal with it as well. I can tell you with specificity that Karen, when she comes home, if she's out today, this is the one day of the week she's going to the office. When comes home today, I'm very conscious of being there for her. I'm very attentive that what is she dealing with and how can I help her through that. Communication is absolutely essential. And I'm witnessing her because she's in an office just down the hall from me in my home, and I'm listening to her, all of the proactive communication that's going on and leveraging Zoom. And Zoom gets to be very, very good in terms of seeing the body action and all the signals that we get from there. And if it's one-on-one, we can, just as easily do it on FaceTime. So there's means to do this. We just have to budget and be conscious of the need to communicate, and you got to shoot them straight. The third is personal and professional development processes, asking people what you can do and how you can be more helpful in terms of them, in terms of what they want to be. I don't want it to be all about the company. I want to know how I can help them do things in their world. So I can tell you, I use Karen as a lot of my examples these days because, quite frankly, we've been together for a year now, and there she is as the CEO of the company. But what I noticed was that she was guilty of, I can't find the time to exercise. Well, I've got her swimming, I've got her biking, I've got her running, she's never done more than a 5K in her life. We put on her goals this year to do a 10K, and I turned to her in February and said, I will have you do a half marathon before the end of the year. And she looked at me like it was a crazy man. She's already done 2 half marathons already. And then I've taught her how to swim in a professional way. And now she's like, I've actually seen myself doing a triathlon when races come back. She's very quick to say, not an Ironman level, but she sees herself doing a triathlon. And what she said to me last night at the pool as we were doing laps is, you can't even begin to understand how beneficial all of this is in terms of what my attitude is in running the company and dealing with the issues I deal with all day long. I look forward to the exercise. I know I'm getting a lift from it, all of those types of things. All I'm doing is personal and professional development processes with the people that are around me. And then the fourth is a real key word, and that's empowerment. While we have our people, many of our companies working in their isolated homes, the best thing that we can do is up the ante and give them more power to make decisions from home and not have to track down an okay or an approval from somebody. And unfortunately, if you don't trust your people to do that, then I would then sit down and say, maybe we ought to consider getting the right people, which, by the way, I wasn't going to talk about sales management on this call, but I can tell you there hasn't been in years a better time to upgrade your staff and recruit people. There is incredible talent out in the marketplace. Karen has 8 high-quality direct report positions for reporting to her. We're in the process right now of looking to refill 3 of them. All 3 are people in the spot right now, but we recognize it's an opportunity to upgrade. And so just be aware that if you don't feel comfortable empowering somebody, then why not consider getting somebody that you would be comfortable empowering? But your company will really benefit if you cut loose some of the chain that we have around their neck in terms of making decisions. So that's my advice. Those 4 legs, they were true before the pandemic. They're even more true during the pandemic, and they will hold their own once the pandemic is behind us. Second question, what's the best method to further penetrating existing clients with a new service offering, knowing they are not the correct decision maker? I had to laugh when I got the question, and probably whoever gave it is on the line here, but I'm like, well, wait a second. Get to the correct decision maker is the first answer. What are we doing spending time nurturing somebody that isn't the decision maker? Just because it's hard to get to decision maker is not a reason to abort the process. We've got to find a way to get to the correct decision maker. How do we do that? It's all about a touch system. You can go on YouTube and you can punch in Jack Daly and touch system, and there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that I am on video teaching of the touch system. But the key with the touch system is bringing them things of value or things that will interest them individually and personally. not stuff necessarily about your product or your service or your company, but do your homework, find a decision maker, and find something that turns that person on, either in a business side or in a personal side, and see if you can build some things that will touch them such that literally, instead of you trying to figure out how to get them to take your call, they're calling you. And we have examples of that happening. And then the third piece of advice that I had was the way the question asked was penetrating existing clients with a new service offering. So if we've got a base of existing clients, we want to leverage the positives of the existing clients on the things that are really working well with us, such that it opens up the window to say, what else do you guys do that could bring value to us? The third question, what ideas can be offered for salespeople who may be suffering in depression due to working in the COVID-19 conditions, isolation, lack of travel, and interaction with the customers? I've already mentioned communication frequency. You gotta up it big time. The second item that I give you is be empathic while laced with reality. The third is that encourage your people to be in touch with their customers visually by way of a mechanism like a Zoom. This is a medium that's working for people. We have salespeople now that are clients of mine that are coming back and saying, I actually think that the way I sell, Zoom will always be a part of the way I sell now, because both my prospects and clients, as well as me, are realizing the efficiencies of it. And so I think that if you were to schedule Zooms with their customers and inspect that they're doing it, that will take them out of that depression, so to speak. The fourth thing I've already mentioned earlier, and that is a daily plan. Where we come into play is you need to inspect what you expect. And so if somebody's got daily plans, it'd be easy for you to say, send me your daily plan. And then first thing in the morning or at the end of the day, say, okay, let's go through the list, what got done. And that momentum of the daily plan gives you more of an initiative to take on the next day. And then the last is we have control of our attitudes. I remember about 2 weeks ago, Karen called me up at about 3 o'clock, and she said, I just want to let you know before I start to come home, I'm having a massively shitty day. And I just let it sit for a moment, and I said, well, why would you do that? And she said, well, I'm just telling you, the stuff is flying around here, and it's one thing after another, and I'm just having a shitty day. And I said, well, all I can tell you is that you have control over the 6 inches between your ears. And so if you welcome it in and say, hey, you know what, keep piling on, can't wait to have a more shitty day, then I can't help you. I'm having a great day. And I'm sure that all kinds of crap took place today that wasn't happy for me, but I'm just not going to allow that to affect me. So I'm sorry you're having a shitty day. I hope you clean yourself up before you get home, because I'm going to be having a glass of wine and toast into having an absolutely fantastic day. So I hung up, and she came home and she goes, I thought about it for about 5 minutes and said, you're absolutely right. I'm gonna have a fucking good day. Screw it. And the rest of my day was good, and I drove home, and I couldn't wait to have a glass of wine with you. We have control over this. We have control over it. I don't care how crappy all of the stuff is around us. I'm gonna have a positive attitude, and there's no way that you're gonna shake me. And so I would help people that work for me that are suffering with isolation and the withdrawal from customers and missing their travel and all that. Don't let the turkeys get you down. It just isn't worth it. We got a choice. So at the end of the page there, item number 5 says, stay focused, stay healthy, and be grateful. I've already talked about staying focused, so that's an easy one. stay healthy. I've already talked about that. There are no excuses. We all have a different degree of level of fitness and everything, but we can make that happen. And then the last item is be grateful. And in my presentations that I've been doing, I've gotten feedback from people going, man, I was really shocked that you would put be grateful. I mean, this is a shit show out there. How the hell am I supposed to be grateful? Well, let me show you how I program myself. So my wife of 47 years, met her at 16 years old, dies of cancer in our 47th year of marriage, and that took place 3 years ago. And about a year ago, I wrestled down that I wasn't going to be involved with anybody for the rest of my life, because who the hell would be interested in a 71-year-old guy that runs races all over the world, as a workaholic, and has all of his 71-year habits and everything? There's no way that I'm going to find somebody who would tolerate my bullshit. And all of a sudden, on August 18th, Karen comes into my life, a 20-plus year client, and we get up after dinner and we kissed, and we've been inseparable. I don't know what my life would be like if Karen wasn't living with me today. I don't know how I'd be handling the isolation. I don't know how I'd be handling the fact that I can't travel. All I know is, holy crap, this has been magical. This past year has been one of the best personal relationship years in my freaking life. And by the way, she's ranked in the top 20 women business owners in the state of California. She's involved in international organizations, national organizations, travels extensively for her business. And I travel extensively when I'm in normal times. In the last 5 months, we have spent more time together, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, etc., than we would have spent in the next 4 years if the pandemic hadn't hit. And so I know our relationship has been enriched by this situation, and I am massively, massively grateful for it. I severed my quad tendon on December 5, and I've had Nurse Karen with me throughout the whole journey. And I'm literally, I don't know how I would have made it through. I guess I would have had a professional nurse been here around the clock, because I was incapable of dealing with anything for about 30 days. And then I was just half a person for about 60 more days after that. And here I am. In the last 8 weeks, I've run 3 half marathons, and my time is only 1 minute slower per mile than what I typically do pre-injury. I had malignant melanoma, as I mentioned, and here I lose my wife to cancer, and all of a sudden I got stage 3 melanoma on the top of my head, and the guy takes this damn whole piece of my head off and then says, here's the good news, your hair will grow back, and we got it all. You don't need any chemo, you don't need any you don't need anything, you're good to go. 4 days after surgery, I was out running. I mean, are you kidding me? And check this out. This is my Father's Day gift, and this is my son's gift to me every Father's Day for the last 16 years. My son Adam is 41 years old, and he was a serious methamphetamine addict, and this is his chip representing 16 years clean. Drug-free. And every Father's Day, that's what he gives me as a present, is his New Year chip. I didn't think that my son would live to see 30. My son is 6'2", carries about 220, very comfortable, looks like a bouncer. Except during his addiction years, I saw him go to 140 pounds. He was skeletal. By the way, by the age of 24, he had none of his original teeth, so he wears dentures. And I thought, the guy isn't going to make it to 30 years old. Oh, well, he was also in 3 jail systems with serious offenses, should have gone to prison. And here he is. He's now married. He's got 2 lovely kids. He gave me my first granddaughter last year. And he's a pillar in his industry. He's a pillar in his neighborhood. He is an unbelievably positive, great human being. And I have so much to be grateful for. And I can tell you that if you can find your areas to be grateful for, what that does for you in dealing with this, and what that does for you in dealing with your prospects, your customers, your employees, and your family, it gives you a competitive edge. And people can tell when you are full of gratefulness. They can tell. And you know what? They want to be around you and not around the people that are with negativity and Debbie Downers. That's what I know for sure. And so I'm just so full of life, and I just see so many opportunities, and we just need to look for them a little bit harder than what we would typically in more traditional times. So I'm not sure, Bunny, if that was where you wanted me to go today in the hour that we spent, but there we are. Okay.
I think it was pretty much on spot, Jack.
Okay. Anybody, any questions, anything that I can be spontaneous to?
You can unmute yourselves if you.
Hey, Jack, this is Tim.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you. That was fantastic. I got a lot out of that, and I'm going to pass a lot of that on to my team. And I do have to run. I have something else going on here in a few minutes, but thank you very much. It was fantastic.
Stay healthy, Tim.
You too.
My best.
Jack, this is Gary.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was awesome. I went to see you live. It was here in Reading with my sales team. We had a great time. And it's good to see you're doing well. And thank you. I'll definitely be using this moving forward.
Cool. Share it with others.
Will do.
Absolutely, Gary.
You're talking to one very grateful person himself. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Jack, it's Brad. We've met a couple of times. Been to a bunch of your seminars through Bonnie. I would agree with Gary. I'm a very grateful person. You present a great message, and I might be the fourth or maybe fifth time I've been connected to one of your seminars. I take away something every single time, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Glad you're doing well.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Absolutely. Stay healthy, my friend.
I will.
Okay, gang.
Yeah.
Bonnie, thanks for doing this for your group.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Bonnie. Thank you very much.
Thank Jack.
Okay.
Jack. He's the host. He's the host.
Okay, Bot. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thanks, Jack.
Hey, Zach. You still on?